Yo,
I'm ready.
what is up, everybody? It's Mini TV here coming at you again with DPC Digest. We still don't have 3 people in this podcast because we're a bunch of losers. It's just me and my brother.
You got no friends.
Got no friends, got no fans, you got no nothing. But we do have Dota, so we have that. And what a game and week of Dota we had. Let's quickly look over the past week's games before the tiebreakers even began. High Coast versus Nigma. This was kind of as expected at the start of the week on Tuesday. Easy 2-0. One kind of notable point, I guess, is that Miracle was still playing mid, which is maybe a bit of a sign to come. You know, the most important games really, because they had to win this to sort of qualify to the major. And who did they put mid? Yep. They put Miracle. They didn't want We Are playing mid. He played these Ursas and the Razor, but it was pretty simple for Nigma. A quick 2-0. Next series, Liquid versus Alliance. Kind of both 2 quick games for each team, really. Alliance and then Liquid. Really, the second game was quite interesting because Liquid played a safe lane Broodmother, which has kind of never been done before. Interesting enough, it was the first Broodmother in the whole European DPC as well.
And also Anti-Mage Vanguard.
Yeah,
next level strats.
Great play. Anti-Mage. I mean, first of all, Anti-Mage in general, just great hero, really solid hero. And then going first time Vanguard, I mean, just thank you, Liquid. We're thanking them for game that. But then game 3, really, they just couldn't end up killing Nico Baby. The Weaver IO combo was too strong, and Alliance
like an F1 car.
Yeah, it's really weird, by the way, because
quick everywhere, weren't they?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what, I don't think it really matters, but your audio is really out of sync because I think you're using the web version of Discord. But I don't think it really matters. But I wouldn't worry because you're the only way we can actually speak to you. So we're just gonna have to write. I'm pretty sure the 5 viewers that watch this are not gonna be too angry. So don't worry, nonetheless. Yeah, so Alliance ended up winning that series. The Weaver IO was just too much, really. And with that win, they obviously automatically qualified to the 2nd seed in the league, which is pretty cool. Secret OG, now this was a 6 series, actually. Well, I guess 6 series is probably... I mean, this series was pretty good, to be fair, but Game 3 especially was a fantastic game. Probably one of the best games of the whole season, actually, because of just... So Game 1, really Secret doing secret things. It was just kind of doing the business. Game 2, actually, was a shining performance from Thompson on mid Ricky playing against Nisha's Invoker, which was cool.
Absolutely.
And then Game 3 was just awesome, man. I know you ended up watching that game, and I mean, it looked like an easy win for Secret, but typical OG fashion, it gave me some TI vibes, honestly, from OG playing that series. It was wicked.
Absolutely. I think there was just the way that it was playing.
Oh, it's fixed. Your audio's fixed now. I don't know what you've done, but you fixed it.
Good, I'm glad. It seemed like it was a normalish kind of game. And then the Weaver and the Clinks just could not be caught in a weird way. And Clinks got Helm of the Dominator 2.
Yeah, that was cool.
And had over 5,000 HP.
Yeah,
and you were like, oh, this could be the first loss. But Secret still managed to pull on. The Enigma Black Holes.
Yeah, there was just one too many.
Obviously.
It was just Weaver and Clinks. That was literally 2v5 the whole way, basically.
Honestly. I feel like the Winter Wyvern didn't have a single good point in this game. I don't remember a single ulti that worked out well, and it was just so it was literally just Clinks and Weaver, and if they got a couple of good pickoffs on them, that was when it really changed. But great game. Anyway, the series, like you said, in general was kind of. It was what it was, but that final game was very fun.
But with Secret beating OG, that sent OG to the tiebreakers, and the tiebreakers was definitely an interesting thing, to say the least. Round 1, obviously all these games are BO1. The first BO1, Liquid versus OG. Liquid were just dirty cheeses. Ended up last picking Huskar with the Oracle Huskar, and just rolled the game, really. I mean, Liquid...
Absolutely.
Liquid have talked about it themselves, and Insane talked about how they don't play just up front Dota, they're just looking to cheese, looking at any way to just get any kind of quick win, and this was definitely the case here. And why not? This literally Huskar hadn't been picked the whole DPC, they put it up here in the tiebreakers. Just love to see it. That obviously forced the OG versus Tundra. This was a superb game, actually. This is probably the best game of the tiebreakers. fantastic. 47 minutes all over. Mid one did have a few questionable Weaver deaths, though, I have to say, and the item choice as well. Like no BKB until super late.
Just get BKB!
Just buy BKB, and I'm sure they would have won that game like so much quicker. But Seb, man, we talked about how Seb, like, I think has been the standout player for OG, and again he played at this game off lane Elder Titan, and he was just smacking briefcase after briefcase, just giving it punches, man. It was awesome, and and OG ended up winning that game, but it was so close as well. But I feel like honestly Seb like just carried like EG on his back, and was after that game he was just like my back was up broken because he was sick. But yeah, and then obviously, so OG won that. So then this was the Tundra versus Liquid. If Liquid won this game, they would have automatically been qualified to the major because they had beat OG previously. And then they last picked Visage to put it in the safe lane, and that was kind of it, really. And then they kind of got rolled over. Tundra kind of cruised.
So again, I would say, was it 9 that was playing? Is there
Mars. Mars.
He was doing great mid, and again, Skeeter I think has been such a good carry. I'm looking forward to seeing more from Tundra at the end of the major, because I think he just has such good ways of playing. I mean, even that game where they lost to OG, Peter on that Ursa was doing very good things. I mean, don't get me wrong, I think it was 9 again that kept him in it. He was underfarmed, and yet it was getting these dream coils and keeping them close together for Skeeter's Battle Fury to do real loads of damage. But yeah, this team, I mean, they deserve to be in the major like crazy as well.
Although we don't know, Jazz. There was a second tiebreakers that we haven't gone through. They might have made it to the
I'm sorry.
So obviously, with Tundra beating Liquid, and they just I'm going to cut that from the thing. They run back the tiebreakers again to sort of see it out. So again, it was Liquid versus OG, and again a complete absolute stomp. OG tried this triad lane, and they picked Bat as well, which had been nerfed heavily to the last patch, and Liquid just rolled them over. Mickey's puck was just insane, actually.
Position 4 out.
Yeah, position 4 out. Yeah, that was actually the more important thing. That it just fell completely flat. Honestly, like I just don't understand what OG are thinking. Like they're in tiebreakers, like the second vet load of tiebreakers. And you know what? I know what's going to win us and get us the major. Alchemist position 4. That is how we do it. And well, it was not what happened. They got rolled over and just lost. And then it was OG versus Tundra. And for once, OG actually drafted normally, and they like absolutely stomped. Thompson's Invoker was just owning, like it just absolutely rolled them over. So again, this was exactly the same what's happened. Liquid beat OG beat Tundra in the second tiebreaker, and so this third game between Liquid versus Tundra, was really whether Liquid were going to go to the major or they're going to run it back again. And Tundra ended up picking Gyrocopter support, which they did, to be fair, in the series before in the week, and they ended up winning. But that Gyro support was against High Coast, and they were now playing against Liquid. And this Gyrocopter support did not work out. Very underwhelming. Liquid ended up having a comfortable draft of Kotl plus Weaver and Kotl plus Storm, and they got a massive lead, and they just kind of accumulated as much gold as possible. So they just didn't want to throw the game. I didn't want to, and I don't blame them as well. They got like a 30k gold lead.
And I can imagine they do not want to play another 2 games, potentially 3, with all of it going on. They just wanted to end it. And again, I mean, like, I love the Mars Willow strat. I just love seeing it. I love seeing the ulties and them just kind of just banging against the wall. That was a good game. I mean, although I think it was 14 minutes, they had an 8k lead, so it was they held it and they carried it on, and it was fine. But I just love seeing that Mars Willow combo. With
that, Liquid obviously beat Tundra. They qualified to the major, and I think actually the one thing bigger than Liquid going to the major was OG not going to the major. To be honest, that to me was the biggest thing. Like I just can't. And you imagine like these big tournaments.
2-time TI winners, Jake.
Yeah. Just not making it.
Crazy. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt
you.
No,
I'm glad you did. But I just feel like it's just... I mean, Twitch chat were going mental. Like, there was just so many memes about OG, hope you didn't buy a ticket to Singapore and things like this, and OG are gonna be like watching like EG go to the major from their mansion and things like this, and it's just I mean, like I do feel for OG, but at the same time, like I'm a like, this is gonna sound bad, but like I'm kind of happy that they lost because I don't know why, but this is maybe being like a kind of a Twitch chat kind of meme, but I feel like OG they like the reason why they lost is like solely down to themselves. Like they draft like a position for Alchemist, like some of their plays are just like really questionable. And sometimes, like obviously, it works out and it looks amazing. And sometimes it just really doesn't work out. It's a really feast or famine team, I think. OG, and I think the problem with actually is that with this DPC season where it's like it's a really long and you've got to be consistent. OG like aren't, put simply, like they're almost a streaky team, and it worked out really well at TI. The both TIs like. But it's like in a 2-week bracket, where they're the best team in the world, and they obviously were, and they just stomped TI. But when it comes to this like 7-week period, like they're dropping games to, like these really weaker teams like Viking, like losing a series to Viking is like one of the reasons why they literally didn't go to the major. And that like that it goes back, and you're looking back at some of these series, like losing to Alliance as well, and you're thinking, look, they're kind of trolling with some of these drafts here in game 2 because they're 1 game up in the series, and then they end up losing game 3. They lose a series, and then they have to play tiebreakers, and then they're picking like position 4 Alchemist. I think like they're almost like too big brain. Like they're trying to they're outdo themselves, like whereas like the game where they played against Tundra, they just picked normal heroes and it ended up just working. Like why do they feel the need to like outsmart themselves?
I know exactly what you mean. I mean, looking at some of the previous games, I mean, the first win of a game from High Coast was against OG because they went like Omni Knight mid and other things. And then this one that I was just looking at against Tundra, where the game that they lost, it had Naga Siren, Monkey King, Death Prophet, Gyro, and Sniper. Like that's a game you see in like 2K pubs where everyone wants to play a carry. Yeah. Like I get like you want to try new things, but I don't know, like you said, because they've.
It's like low priority that game, isn't it?
It's a low priority game.
Priority draft.
It's a single draft. Everyone just wants to play
low priority. Like.
I admire them. They're a great team.
Oh yeah, because they're so much fun. I love OG because they bring so much entertainment. But it's like at the same time, it's like I want to see that entertainment in the major. I don't want them like at home. Don't be wrong. Like, I'm glad Liquid went through because like they were my boys. I was rooting for them the whole way. But it's like I don't want to have to choose between Liquid and OG. Like, and I think they were their own downfall really. And I think with this,
absolutely, I think Nigma. Sorry, go on.
No, you go.
I was just going to say, I think Nigma are such a worse team than OG. Totally. I had them going down because I thought they were awful, but they were consistent and they managed to beat teams when they needed to because they didn't muck around. And OG did, and now they're going to the major when they don't deserve to be, I think, in comparison to OG.
Without a doubt. Like, Nigma, like they just play consistent, like solid drafts. They even put like Miracle on the mid because they're like, look, we just need a solid performance out of mid. We'll have like we'll just have like some easy safe lane carry that just doesn't lose its lane, like Razor. Like you can't lose a lane as Razor, and then we'll just like go ahead. We're a better team than everyone we play against, and we're just gonna win the game. And they did that. Whereas OG, they're doing all these crazy fancy things. That's like it's almost two next level, like the next level, so they become lower level, and it's just like, guys, just like pick a regular mid, a regular carry, and just like secure the game. Like it's not hard, like and
absolutely,
and then
Popston is one of the best, if not the best mid. In EU,
and he's also one of the worst mids. Like at the same time,
true.
Like,
that is true.
It's just crazy.
Like, you're talking about fancy, but and you think if you want to be fancy in a game with some plays. That's okay, if you ask me. If Thompson does something crazy, everyone's like, that was a crazy play. If he does something stupid, you go, oh, you shouldn't have done that. But it doesn't lose you the game. If you're being stupidly fancy in the draft, that does lose you the game.
For sure.
Keep it in the game and just pick normally and then let your play stand out.
Without a doubt. And I think you actually hit the nail on the head last week when we were talking about Secret, where Secret are that consistent team. They're a 7, maybe 8 out of 10 every single week. In out, every single week. OG, I think they can be a 10 out of 10 team. And I also think they can be like a 3 out of 10 team. And it's just like, what? And I think in this DPC format, that it really punishes these inconsistencies where they're like a very streaky, flary team. And in the end, they ended up losing. And it's a real shame because like, OG are controversial to say the least. Like you look at Twitch chat and like people are like absolutely slating him. They're like Everett like kick mid one, like Thompson's trash, and then you have like their OG fan heart tryhards who are just like diehard fans who just love him and it makes sense because there's such a strong following base because of like some of the games they pull out, you know. But yeah, and I think honestly it needs to be talked about because I thought mid one played a little bit underwhelming, but Thompson as well. Everyone takes the mick out of mid one, but I thought Thompson played like a little bit questionable, like where he starts dying in random places, and it's like being a captain. Like I have a player like that can play really like really amazing standard, and then also he can just feed in random places, and you're like, it's so frustrating because you know he can give you these like 10 out of 10 games. It's like, but you just want a consistent 7 out of 10 when week in week out, because there's games where you're just bleeding kills for no reason. Like he's just farming in the middle when there's like 3 heroes like not showing on the map, and you're just like, what? It's crazy.
Yeah. But I think with that, if you have a normal good draft, you can kind of
for sure.
The percentage of losing is a lot better. It's like okay, Thompson's done some stupid things. But the thing is, when your draft is bad because you've done something crazy, you have to play near perfect. And so when those things go wrong, I mean, we saw a 13-minute game because it just fell apart so quickly.
Doesn't matter about play there. That is the draw. Like these players are good players. Like, exactly. Like it's like if you know some 5Ks played against Liquid, they're going to get stomped in 13 minutes. But OG are like these 10K, 11K players. Obviously, that has to be because of the draft. Like there is no play around it, you know. But I think there's a really interesting discussion because it's like, where does that leave OG now? Like, what are they going to do? Are they just going to carry on? Like, because you got to think about it, there's only one more league season and there's only one more major, and they only got 50 DPC points out of coming 5th in the league. Obviously, they ended up getting higher than Tundra because they beat in the tiebreaker. So Tundra got 0 points and OG got 50, and obviously 50 points means nothing really in the grand scheme of things. So really, they have to do really well in the next season. So not only do they have to just qualify, they need to be maybe hitting second, maybe even first to get the lion's share of the points, and then they also have to do really well at the major if they want to get to TI. And it's like, well, you know, are they going to look for roster swaps? I mean, like, you know, there's the talk about like mid one, like playing carry. Normally he's playing mid. Obviously his name is mid one, like he's not carry one. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, but at the same time, I can't. Thanks, you like that joke. At the same time, I can't see Thompson playing any other role than mid. And Seb, I thought, was the best performer out of the whole team. So it's like,
he was awesome.
You can't, like, Seb is the only person I thought played it fantastic. Like, Saxa played alright as well, but it wasn't like you compare Saxa to Jerax as well. Like, Jerax has this standout performance. I thought Jerax played good, but it was like a 6 out of 10, like, which is not bad, but it's like, you know, these performances where it's like you want someone like carrying you maybe on the 4. But yeah, so it's like, well, what do they do?
No Yapsaw.
No Yapsaw. So yeah, it's just like,
I mean, there was. I mean, you might be able to help me understand it, but I saw a couple of things on Reddit about Anna maybe coming back because of
I mean that's just Reddit. I think that's just OG fanboys hoping that Anna's coming back. I don't think he actually is.
That's fine, because I wasn't sure how that could work out.
Yeah, I think basically what happened is like Anna played a few like unranked pubs in his Australian servers, but that means like nothing. I think he changed his name. Yeah, that's literally what happened, and I think people are just praying and hoping that Anna's coming back. Okay. But yeah, I don't think that's actually going to be the case. But maybe. But then at the same time, like the one thing I heard perhaps on the grapevine, the rumor is that mid one will play off lane, Anna will come back, and then Anna will play carry. Because mid one did originally play off lane when they had Samao. Because remember, Samao was playing carry, Thompson was playing mid one was playing off lane.
Yeah, this was Seb had a bit of a break, didn't he?
Exactly, yeah. But then obviously they got rid of Samao because of COVID, and then yada yada yada, and then mid one. So maybe they might put mid one back on off lane, and then Seb will just go back to coach him. But in some ways, I hope that's not the case because I thought he was one of the best players, but at the same time their drafts were looking a bit so shaky, so maybe they need a coach to kind of get him straight with the drafts because Seb can't be playing, focus on playing and drafting. But it's crazy really, because I think with them not qualifying to this major, I think they're not going to get to TI next year. I think they might qualify to the major like next season, but I don't think they're going to be able to like
enough points.
Yeah, I just don't think they're going to, like, if Secret play this carry on, like I don't think them seeing beating Secret in the league, and I don't see like how they're going to, even if they make make to the major get like top 4, top 6, you know, which they need to really get if they want to get to TI. So, and obviously there's no open qualifiers now, so they can't like, you know, streak their way to, you know, TI through that way. And so yeah, it's crazy really, and it's really showing that this sort of change in format has really affected teams like OG.
Yeah, definitely.
So yeah, just moving on, I want to talk about our little hero in Zero of the week, where we talk about some of the top heroes and bad heroes from a statistical standpoint. So for the hero of this week, I've chosen a controversial one, which is Death Prophet. Now, I don't think Death Prophet is that much of a controversial pick. I think he's actually really strong, and the statistics kind of back it up. 160 games picked, which is a lot. Obviously, this is out of the whole DPC, and has a 52% win rate, so positive win rate. And at that many games, 52% is pretty good. I just like the way it is, considering like how a lot of the mids were nerfed in the last patch, like Puck, Void Spirit, and Batrider. Like, to me, DP is like that kind of next tier really. But the problem is that he's not these flashy, aggressive ganking side laners. He's like this slow, methodical kind of game. But interestingly enough, actually, he's only picked 19 times in the upper European division, and he actually has a 42% win rate. So it's a bit of a controversial one. So like, it's interesting how other regions it actually does really well, and in EU it actually does pretty poorly. So that's kind of interesting to say the least. But I really rate the hero for sure. I don't know if you got.
Fair enough. And so, who was your zero of the week?
Anti-Mage. I mean, I just had to get him in there. Like, we hadn't talked about him like the whole DPC digest, and I had to put him in there because we saw him a few times. I think Alliance picked him up. No, and also Alliance picked him up, which gave Liquid the win. They didn't end up winning the series, but like, the statistical standpoint like shows how bad this hero is. I have to point out, Anti-Mage is probably my favorite hero in all of Dota. I love him. He's just such a pure, simplistic carry, and he's great. However, he's actually terrible in the meta and the patch right now. 34 picked over all the DPC with only a 32% win rate, and he's only been picked twice in Europe, and he's lost every single game, so he has 0% win rate. And I think that's a fair assessment to say he's without a doubt a zero this week, because we did see him at least once in Europe, and never to be seen again, I think, until he's been buffed. So yeah, so that's this sort of statistics segment. So before we look on really about some of the main talking points, and I was going to say next week's, but there really is no next week. Let's just have a look at the last week's video segment of the plays of the week.
Maybe a fly it also just.
Oh, they're going to get Arteezy here.
Oh, Arteezy?
Oh, Arteezy's charging at him.
He's only got 20 seconds on this agent, but they make him kill him twice. He's completely alone. They still after all that. Well. Arteezy, doppelganger. Can he juke this one? He sends the illusion away. They roll the illusion. Arteezy has just juked the hell out of them. Oh no! And now EG went up the storm. Going to go in with the blade ravage as well. EG have turned this one around. Oh, with an Arteezy doppelganger juke. They've got 2 kills already in this fight. Tomato's on the run, just using his BKB defensively, but that's nothing to wear on. Abed body block him. Has the vortex in a couple of seconds, which he's not going to need. Tomato, jump onto the high ground. ISO says doesn't have a gush. Abed luckily out of mana, but Crit gets him with the roll, kicks him back in. The pull is there, and now they're going to lose Tomato. 3 down on Undying side. They want more. Arteezy, just no answer to his PL army as he takes out Dude. That's his second death in the last 60 seconds, and EG get a huge lead off of that.
In though, with the ulti onto the illusion, it's not going to do much. It's going to annoy Roche as he's going to crouch a couple of times there.
It was a rave, right? It was a nice little Roshan rave.
It was.
But can they fight this Roshan now? Toronto Tokyo does not have BKB. They know this. They can punish this pretty hard.
She got another
Exo's
one.
available. Kinetic Field just delaying this Roche, but I think it's just too difficult to defend.
It's too low.
Tornado comes up. So bad.
He wants it.
The initiation. The blow right to get vision. Sunstrike as well. Roshan's out of the pin. He's not taking any damage. So bad. Trying his best. Go in. Spike. And he's done. He snatches the Aegis. He dies. It doesn't matter. He takes away the most valuable item here. And he's okay with to die with for this, honestly.
Yeah. To hell to him. He's back to hell. Back again.
I mean, it's a nice item, right? It makes sense all around. Bit of magic resistance. I mean, great on these sort of melee carries.
It does make sense too. You know, mid one's your carry, and Thompson, even in his leveling up, like Berserker's Rage max, or X is max. You're not going for the more passive farming build where you put more points further. Phase boots a 1, like this is the fighting. He's gonna be the frontliner and have faith in one to only deal with his team game. That's game there from No Tail.
Additional control makes no chance for tether to safety.
Yeah, big fan of that item here. Foxy just on the bug squashing squad because that is his role here. He wants to Atos into silence, wants to get the rupture off. Do not let mid one just freely carry this game. Mickey Minions in trouble. Wait, what? Thompson?
He just walked around on the high ground. It's aggression here from Thompson. He's gonna get ruptured. See if he can get out of this. He's gonna try to, but they've got the control. He gets the ult off in time, but they'll be able to kite this out. As yeah, Thompson just. Oh, yeah, they get the save. Ooh, okay.
That's sick. I don't know if you can fight this. You've got rupture now.
All right, I mean, can they go for a round 2? It's just gonna be No Tail letting his life go. There's just gonna be No Tail letting his life go, but No Tail bailing out Thompson there big time.
It's actually 6% EHP, not 5. So those extra points of armor are actually even more effective than I had spoken. So yeah, my main point is buy armor, aura items, please. Somebody on Tundra. Okay.
Thompson immediately there with that jump. 33. He's gonna create the distraction, give time for Skeeter to reset. Wait for his raise to come back off. Cool down. There's Smith. Once you want to dive in for this, he does. He's looking for Fada. Finish him off the sprint as well. Skeeter, he's ready with the counter play. Look at BKB for this. Hope's got it by stacks, and the BKB is soon to come to an end. Skeeter's going to get taken out, and he's down for 95. And he does not have the money for buyback. They've got to be very careful now for this 90 seconds Tundra, as OG, they've got a huge amount of room to work.
How do you fight them at this point, Owen? If you don't have the ability to kill OG, if you have for just one moment the fear of being right-clicked, like that fight's over. And I last time I bring it up, if this Ursa keeps playing without any plus armor, he will not be able to play Dota 2 when his BKB is down.
They're going to be able to get him once. Take him down, they give him their edges. And then do it a second time, they remove him. He's out of first round. If they've got any further control, if this one can still have his future away, but Steph goes down because of it. And now Ribble's been silenced. He's trying to run, but they're in. He's able to get the time on top just in time. But Farley's got further control of the boss fight. The Hex is out for 33. They're in on the Ripboard. What? Actually, they've got the Yules to go to it. Oh my goodness. How did it happen? How did that spread terribly? Carl, what happened?
I don't know.
Ursa is dead.
I have no idea.
They just lost an Aegis and lost 4 heroes immediately after against a team that doesn't have their bloody carry alive.
Well, to be fair, in the fights, they don't really have them alive for very long either, but...
Spiver will escape. So that is a mid one and a Thompson buyback. They want to find more than just Skeeter. See if they can catch 9. 9's out with the orb. He's going to have the blink back up. Yeah. Oh, actually didn't. I think he had the chance.
No buyback.
There.
He has no buyback for 2 minutes.
Why didn't he blink? Did I miss that? I swear he had blink. He could have blinked and then Waning Rift, but he didn't. He's dead. Maybe he was scared of someone on the high ground, but everybody.
He didn't have face though. Yeah, but he might have just been like caught thinking there. You know?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
You've got heroes with a lot of mobility on all sides, but yeah, unfortunately, no buyback. I think OG should know this. 2.5 minutes on the timer. So if anyone's tracking it, they know it's 4 on 5.
This is a big window for OG. But of course, Skeeter himself, he does have buyback. Skeeter can get in on the action, but he'd have to be sort of holding the fort against the full 5 of OG pretty surely.
Also, do you know what it was? It was the Stormcrafter proc, it looks like.
Oh, it could have been. That absolutely could have been what caught.
Yeah, from Thompson. Man, these neutral items are...
Fine.
There we go. The final week of plays of the week really for this season 1, which which has been cool actually, and there's been some
good one.
Yeah, really, and not only that, but it's like I like how every single week there's been like some really cool standout plays where it's like Aegis steal, some baits, some debates, like some just really cool plays actually, and there's been some really cool highlight reels just from the league, which is really cool to see.
Yeah, and it's interesting because sorry, I don't
No,
know if you're
go,
going off
go,
topic a bit
go,
here,
go.
but earlier we had a conversation about is this kind of setup leading into a less exciting thing than lots of majors because there's more to play for and you think it's there. But I feel like this week in week out there's something exciting to watch
Yeah.
every single week. There's whether a series or a game that just blew everyone away and was awesome, and a lot of teams are playing like every game matters. Maybe not OG.
Yeah.
But
but
I've and so because of that we've had some great plays as well. I mean, we've had 6 weeks of like some pretty phenomenal Dota leading up to this major, and so I'm loving the fact that Valve have made this decision to do this again.
I wholeheartedly agree. I think this has been probably one of the best years for Dota. Honestly, like just from this league alone, we have yet to see any majors, and obviously it's been COVID for the last year basically. But just from this standout alone, I've really enjoyed it. Of course, there's been not as many LANs, but hopefully we're going to start seeing them now because COVID is kind of slowly dying down. But just from the league, I absolutely adore it, and I know the players don't like it because it's like only one official a week and there's not a lot, and they're kind of waiting around. Obviously, if they're in a boot camp, they're literally like staying in the boot in the in-house. Sorry, what am I trying to say? The boot camp, the boot house, the boot house, the league,
whatever it's called.
Yeah, the boot camp basically for like 7 weeks for literally only 7 games or whatever. But like, I hope they realize like how good it is for a viewer. Just this whole structure, like for people who have actual lives and have jobs and stuff, who aren't just complete Dota degenerates, like it's such a perfect format, and I really hope that they don't change it for the next season after Major.
Not at all. I completely agree. And the thing is, this is very similar to actual sports.
Exactly.
This is what they do. They have a week of training and they have 1 game a week.
Yeah.
To get people into esports more, and especially Dota, that to keep it kind of similar to a sport that people have already watched or have been watching their entire life, it makes it easier. And the best is yet to come, Jake, because we've got an anime.
Anime! We're going to get some more fans. They're all going to be weebs. But no, I totally agree. Like, I think like there's been a lot of discussion about how like Dota shouldn't be like become like sports when it comes to like the broadcast. Like we shouldn't be too like prim and proper and like super serious and like
agree with that.
Like I totally agree with that. But like this kind of the structure and the format, I totally agree. Like having one official a week, and then then they can like figure out all these different strategies, and OG can kind of like overthink strategies and like end up playing weird. But no, I think it's fantastic.
Omni-Knight
mid sniper, mid troll warlord, like all these crazy picks.
Gyro.
No, but like Alchemist 4, like all things like this, whatever, and it's like cool. And I know the players don't like it, but I think they just need to suck it up and play. Like, maybe they can supplement more officials just playing like third-party tournaments, maybe during the league or whatever, like just to sort of keep them happy. But this DPC format, I really love, like, because even if you are like a degenerate like me who like watches Dota like every single day, you don't like. If Europe isn't playing, then NA's playing, and if NA isn't playing, China's playing. If China isn't playing, it's like SEA, and like if SEA isn't playing, you have South America. But I don't watch that, even if I am a Dota, which I don't even watch because no one watches SA. Like I think like things like that. I think it's great, So I think like. If you're a professional as well, like if you just go stream, like go fill your time with something like useful in Dota, like just stop being a whiny like person and just get over it. Because I really hope they don't change it. I don't mind if they want to do like best of 2s or whatever and like run it back twice, but this idea of playing once or twice a week, I think, is just absolutely perfect. And I think overall it's been a great success as well. Like just from a financial standpoint, there's so many sponsors as well because there's like regular structure. Like a lot of the talent like it because it's like structured, like over for the next 2 months. There's like they're doing this at this day at this time. The matches are well in advance, so you can prepare for it. I think it just in general it's really professional and it's really nice to see. So, like I said, I really hope they stick to it. Another kind of point, which is kind of nice to see as well in Europe, is that the 4 invited teams and the 4 qualified teams, there was at least 1 qualified team that actually got to the major. That obviously was Alliance, and then one of the invited teams was OG didn't make it as well. And I think that's quite important because there's been a lot of discussion over the years about like, should teams get invites, should there be qualifiers, or like invited teams are always great, like do they need to kind of contest and fight for their spot? And in this case, it's true, OG like were just automatically invited. Of course, I think if they had to go through the qualifiers to get to the upper division, I'm sure they would have made it, but it's just nice to sort of see them. There's a lot of competition in Europe, and I think Europe was probably the only team that had a qualified team. We haven't seen China. China hasn't finished out yet, but NA, all the invited teams, so NA, EG and Quincy Crew, SEA were the same as well, and same goes for CIS, like Na'Vi, Gambit and VP were all the invited teams, whereas Europe were the only team that had the qualified teams actually get a major slot. So I think that's really good because it shows a lot of competition in the game itself, So that's really cool. And I'm happy for Alliance as well. In some ways I feel a little bit bad for Alliance. Like the whole Dota squad kind of just like completely just left them to go to a better org with Liquid. And even though I'm a big Liquid fanboy, like I kind of felt bad for Alliance. They had committed so many resources to that like squad. They were really new and up and coming. They got last place at TI, and obviously for like a team like Alliance, they kind of need like these big prize pools like TI, and for them to kind of bow out and then immediately lose their squad afterwards, it's kind of like I feel bad. So I feel really glad that they were able to rebuild around S4 and have this solid squad actually. So
They played well.
Yeah, and I think they deserved it as well. Like, I think
that.
Go on.
Absolutely. No, I was going to say that's a team that. We knew that almost all of these teams, that even if they weren't invited, it was going to be close. We didn't think this is obviously going to be the best area. I don't know whether you want to call that, like Europe, whatever you want to call
region.
it. Region. Yeah, we're going to be probably the strongest competitors. Obviously, High Coast Esports. Old Chicken Nuggets. I tell you now, they changed their name
and they start losing.
Downhill.
True.
100%. It's that Chicken Nuggets. Bring it back. Chicken
Nuggies.
But other than them, it was a very, very tight fight. But I think Alliance played very well, and I think they deserved it as well.
I think even like Seb or Notel tweeted out that like they didn't deserve to go to the major or something, like because the way they played, and I totally agree with them as well. Like the best teams kind of got through. And the one thing to say is that I really hope Europe do well at the major. I think that's definitely a talking point we can kind of get to as well. So we might as well sort of slide into it. Really, is obviously the major's up and coming at the end of this month. March 27th is when it all kind of kicks off. I think they have like a week or two like quarantining before they get there, or I'm not even sure if that's even the case. Actually, I think they have like a kind of a deal with the Singaporean government so that they're a really hard bubble and like they can kind of do what they want. And it's like, who do we expect to do well? And in some ways, I feel like Europe are going to really be fierce as well. I think China's going to be fierce, but I think for the other regions, I think it's going to be the top seed, and then like the rest are all going to kind of bow out a little bit. So like, I can imagine EG doing well. I can imagine like VP doing well. SA not going to do well. Let's be real. And then obviously like maybe Fnatic like are going to do well, who are the top seed for SEA. But like Europe, like I could see any one of those teams like almost contesting for top 1. Obviously, Secret are the favourites, but it's interesting. Like the competition in Europe is just so fierce, and I think hopefully that will translate well to the major as well in terms of position and points. I do wonder though, like, do you think, like, let's say NA like do really well, right? So they have EG and Quincy Crew like maybe both get top 4. Do you think that would like then urge Valve to give NA like 3 slots? Do you think that would like depend on the next league, or?
Very good question. Because it makes you think, but at the same time, you look at NA, and really those two are the only two that were actually doing.
I don't know. I think
outstanding.
Like
good,
they all got
they?
like
Undying.
Yeah, Undying.
Well.
Undying, because there was a tiebreakers for Undying. So technically, EG, Quincy Crew, and Undying all were at the end the same amount of points. They were all 6 and 1. So the point I'm trying to make is that if EG and Quincy Crew say both get top 4, it shows that really that NA region is really competitive, right? So then because of that, it might urge Valve to give them a 3rd slot, because it's like actually these NA deserve a 3rd slot, they're doing so well at the major.
But
So-
then, could you say the same with EU if they're saying that 5 out of the 6 teams were all
True.
fighting for a top 4? Like, you could be like, who loses their slot? Unless you go SA. But
SA,
it's
I
like,
mean,
what teams
like,
do you invite?
honestly, like, I just, I think actually that needs to be a talking point. But don't be wrong, like, SA, they deserve 1 slot. You know, it's good for the region, and like, there's a big like Dota following over in like Peru and Brazil and stuff. But 2 slot, like, I don't even know the second team that SA are coming out. I know Beast Coast are getting in, and I think it might be like SG Esports. Who the heck are they? Or like Thunder Esports. Again, who the heck are they? Or would you prefer OG to come to the major? Like, if you have to choose between those 2 teams, like, who are you, like, just from a pure like entertainment standpoint, like, and like, think that it's like, don't be wrong, I think they like deserve a slot, but 2 slot, like, come on, guys, just give it to Europe, like, or even China, like. But at the same time, then it's like if S only have 1 slot, then it's always going to be Beast Coast because they're like the strongest region in the league. But yeah, I mean, come on, man, like OG. They deserve, like, if it's going to be a slot, it should be taken away from SA. To be fair, like,
So, do Europe just need a solo TI? Jake,
and maybe
is what
they
you're
just need their
saying?
own
Is that what it
major.
is?
Like, they just need their own major.
Yeah,
Like,
their own major and
own,
TI.
own major. Like.
Crazy, man. Crazy.
So yeah, that'll be really cool. Yeah, so that'll be really, really wicked, and it'd be good to sort of see lands. Obviously, there won't be any crowds, I don't think. It's just going to be the players, but it'd be good to sort of see teams like actually compete. Like, we haven't seen really any cross pollination of regions, so you know, we're talking and hyping up EU as the best region, but imagine if they just get stopped.
smashed.
They
We
just
don't
get
know, do
stopped.
we?
They all get like
Yeah.
bottom 16 or whatever. It'd be hilarious. Like,
They keep playing against Death Profit and not knowing how to actually do good with it.
Exactly,
And, like you
yeah.
were saying, because everyone else seems to do well.
yeah.
But is it true that EU have got the most amount of heroes picked?
Yeah, we'll get to that. EU definitely do, but we'll definitely come to that. But yeah, just quickly talking about some of the notes of the other regions, we briefly mentioned it. NA went to tiebreakers for 3 teams. Obviously, they only had 2 slots: Undying, EG, and Quincy Crew. It was the expected results in the end. EG and Quincy qualified. But interestingly enough, EG got the top seed, which is actually at one point they were actually second because Quincy beat EG. But then Quincy lost to Undying. If Quincy beat Undying, they would have went 7-0, and EG would have qualified for 2nd place. But because of the tiebreakers, EG ended up beating them both. They ended up getting top seed, and then Quincy ended up bringing Undying, so they got. But it's quite important though, because not only is it important because they go straight to the playoffs in the major, so they're already like higher in the upper bracket per se, but they also get more DPC points as well. So it does have implications. So in some ways, it's kind of nice that EG. Sorry, it's quite nice that Quincy Crew lost to Undying, so that EG had a chance to like reclaim the top spot, which is kind of cool. As for CIS, Na'Vi and Virtus Pro go to number 1 and number 2 respectively. Na'Vi looked like, you know, really above Virtus Pro. Sorry, other way around. Virtus Pro looks really above Na'Vi. Just because, you know, they 2-0'd them, crushed them really. There was like this big hype going into the final series. It was like, who's going to be top seed, and Virtus Pro just kind of smashed them. As for tiebreakers, there was a 3rd slot going between AS Monaco Gambit versus Team Spirit, and it was a BO3, and it was a 2-1 win for Gambit. So we will see no one actually at the major. Obviously, he was picked up. So there's like 1/5 of the original VP. Obviously, no Solo, no Ramses. No 9 Pasha, and no Roger's actually playing for Na'Vi, so we will see Roger. Then obviously China, they're still finishing off 2 more weeks, so I guess there's still Dota to be watched, even though all the other regions are finished. That's kind of cool. And IG are still undefeated, actually going into the 6th and 7th matches, which is kind of cool. You know, this is normally the section we talk about this week's games and their expectations, but unfortunately, there's no more Dota, Jazz. There's no more European Dota. There's nothing to watch out for.
Yes, I'll have to watch League of Legends for a bit, won't I?
Here we go. Let's go watch League. Although apparently, that, you know, the Dota anime is coming out soon, so you can kind of get hyped for that. So before we close out, then let's just quickly go to our question and answer segment. One of the questions is, will there be any changes to the DPC format after this first major? We kind of briefly alluded to it, but do you think there'll actually be any changes?
I don't think they will be. I think, I don't know. I say that, but like, it's Valve.
Yes, Valve.
They're
They're just so impulsive, like
the last week.
But like, not even a
I don't
patch.
know.
But I mean, like, do you think they'll change the format?
No,
Do you
I know.
think-
But that's what I'm saying. Like, you'd assume you'd go no because they're in the middle of, these different things happening with a TI on the line, and it's a big deal. And so you'd think no, they wouldn't make a change, but then they could because it's them. But I'm going to say no because personally, I think it's going really well.
I think so as well, and obviously Valve are like a really big data-driven like company as well. Like they must have like the metrics of like viewership, engagement, like just outspoken interest as well. Obviously we're big advocates of it as well. I know a lot of Valve employees watch this podcast as well, so they're probably like
absolutely,
so they're thinking, well, they must be listening. But at the same time, I could see them changing it just because there's a lot of backlash from the players, and I think the players have Valve have always catered to the players when it comes to anything and everything. Basically, like if you think about even the TI invites, they always went to players and not to the organization. So even when like players kicked or teams kicked players, those individual players were like going to TI regardless, and they always paid to the players, yada yada yada. Like Valve pander to the players a lot, and I know there's quite a lot of kind of outspokenness of the players about how they want they like the format, but they think it should be improved or tweaked upon. So I could cancel them doing it. So yeah, this is just the highlight as well that I probably will put into post-production. But I just want to highlight some of the heroes that have yet to be picked in the European DPC, and both divisions, so upper and lower. And actually, there's not that many that hadn't been picked. There's only 10 heroes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 or 9 minus the hoodwink. Obviously, that can't be played at all. So only 9 heroes out of like 120 heroes. That's like really, really good. And those heroes are Dazzle, Faceless Void, Meepo, Necrophos, Pudge, Silencer, Spectre, Sven, and Techies all hadn't been picked. And that's kind of cool because not only for a few things really. Europe has the most amount of heroes picked. Obviously, China have yet to play the same amount of games, but the other regions have finished, and some other regions had like 20 heroes not picked. So like Europe really are, in my opinion, like the trendsetters, right? Which is really cool. But is there any heroes you think that maybe could have been picked and surprised they weren't out of that list?
I want to make a silly option like by saying Techies, but you sent me the list and I can't find it. And I know you just said it all, but I wasn't listening because I was looking for where you sent me the list.
I sent it to you.
Did you say Void is on that list?
Yeah. Let me...
Because I think he's someone that I was quite surprised about.
There you go.
When you said...
There you go.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, I'll just...
Let me just quickly lose that again.
There we go, perfect. Yeah, Void, when I saw it, I was quite surprised about. Obviously, like Sven, wasn't surprised about because of how nerfed he got, because of how stupidly broken he was a little while ago. Are you sure that list is right? I'm sure we've seen Silencer. Or am I just completely wrong?
I know we saw Silencer a lot in NA. I'm not 100% sure about Silencer EU.
Okay, well, like I said,
it could be wrong though. I would like to just point out that I got it from Liquipedia statistics. So if they're wrong, don't at me.
Oh, right? Liquipedia.
Liquipedia. Excuse me.
Well, that's.
Yeah, I mean, I think Silencer...
Void and Silence I'm surprised about.
So yeah, I just would like to point out, so Sven, interestingly enough, was actually picked in China. So Sven was picked up in China as a carry, of all places, even though it got nerfed heavily, and it won, funny enough, as well, actually. Silencer was picked up in NA, and they played it as like a carry to deal with things like Tide offlane, Enigma offlane, these kind of like big wombo combo heroes. Techies was picked up in CIS, I think Na'Vi picked it up, or VP picked it up, but they also won with a jungle Huskar, so I think they could basically win with any hero. But heroes like Pudge, Necrophos, Meepo was just not touched by anyone. Dazzle was picked up in NA as well as an offlaner because it was like a Necro book carrier, which I think actually makes a lot of sense. Okay. But your point about Faceless Void is interesting actually because we saw a lot of Weaver and a lot of Io, both, and even heroes like Puck as well. But Weaver especially really struggles against Void, not just from the Chronosphere, but from the time lapse, the time lock, his W, because Weaver like can't use his like Sakuchi art because it's locked. And even though the hero did get nerfed quite heavily in the last patch, I think there's definitely like possibilities to pick it. I think teams maybe just a little bit scared. But
laner just to use the spells?
It's a bit greedy
would
as an
be-
offlaner, but I think it almost needs a bit of farm. But maybe though, like it has been played as an offlaner before. But yeah, maybe. But it does need like carrying as well in the lane because it's not a strong laner. So you need like you can't just run like Void plus like Earthshaker, for example. You need like Void plus like a strong range support that can give him a good lane. But yeah, I mean that's pretty good really. Like only 10 heroes not picked up. Like I think that shows quite a good state of the patch. And like there's a few things. But I mean, assume
like to know.
Gone.
I'd like to know how many of the heroes that maybe were only picked once or twice were picked by OG.
Yeah, true.
So I
That
wonder
high.
if they make a lot up
Yeah,
for that.
I know. Liquid actually were that team actually because they played Husker and Visage both, and they were the only team to do it in Europe. Interestingly enough, actually, and they won both games. Funny enough, as well, actually. So, yeah, what does that say? I don't know. Liquid best team in the world, clearly. So yeah, but yeah, it's pretty cool, really, and I think we're actually like we might see like a few changes. They might get a few buffs. Hopefully, not any techies buffs. Because, you know, God help us all if that hero gets buffed. But, yeah, it's kind of cool, and it shows that Europe's probably the meta creators than the meta followers. But that's it, guys. That is the end of the podcast because it's really the end of the series. We're done. We might do a little, like, brief podcast before the major to kind of hype out. Might do one after the major as well to sort of talk about it, our highlights, our lowlights, and when Liquid obviously...
Definitely after the major,
you know,
we'll do one. Yeah,
get the trophy, like yeah, because they're going to win it, obviously. And it'd be cool, really. And I hope you've enjoyed it. I know there's not too many followers like following the podcast, but if you do like it, do give us a little comment, a like, subscribe, all that jazz. Because I know me and Jazz really like doing it, and we're having a lot of fun with it. So I hope you're enjoying it as well. And hopefully it's not just my mum who watches this podcast, but maybe your mum too.
And maybe as well after the major we can actually make it a podcast.
Yeah, we might actually make it. Yeah, we actually might put it on Spotify.
It's only on YouTube. That's it.
Yeah, so
maybe
that'll be the success. Maybe if we put it on Spotify, we'll be like up there with like the Joe Rogan podcast and like Peter Crouch podcast. It will be like really close there, you know. But
Elon Musk to come on and start smoking weed, and we're good.
Yeah, we'll be hitting the moon, man. Right, it's been a privilege, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks, Jazz, again, and until next time, Jazz. Keep on and grinding.
Nice t-shirt, by the way.
Oh yeah, sorry. Before I go, I gotta show you everyone the t-shirt Jazz got me. Because obviously I'm the best.
I'm the best for getting you in.
Yeah, okay, you might be the best brother, but anyway, guys, hope you like it. This Phoenix is pretty cool actually on the top. Anyway, until then, keep binding and grinding. Peace.
Left it.
Yeah, I didn't mean to leave it. I meant to just stop the streaming.
So
but,
funny.
oh well.